Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've got one more game for today's coverage of the Summit 2 EU Division by G2A.com. We've got Compass Gaming versus Moscow5, but I found myself a new co-caster.
Hey, man. How you doing?
What's up? We've got Purge in the studio. What a rare treat this is.
Yeah, I'm just taking a small vacation in between KDL seasons, so we'll be back to Korea soon. But for now, I'm just going to be in Los Angeles, and I was like, why not come to the house and cast a little bit? So
yeah.
I was going to be casting the last game, and unfortunately, it was the DQ, so I wasn't able to help out. But I'm here now. Just one game.
Yeah, got to hang out, but still we get Purge for a good one. Compass versus Moscow5. We'll hop right into the draft, see what's going on here, and this should be a pretty even matchup. We've seen these teams fair bit throughout StarLadder EU group stage, and right now in the standings, Compass is 1-0, Moscow5 is 1-1. So, well, still very early on, but it's a tough group stage, Purge. There's only one team that can move on to the main event.
Yeah, I think we talked about this the other day. It was one of the hardest qualifiers by far because there's only so many slots to go to the Summit, and the EU teams are just absolutely stacked with all of the top talent currently. So these teams I'm not as familiar with. I do know a couple of these players, but do you know that much about KPG?
Well, only what I've been covering in this season of StarLadder and then like the qualifiers and whatnot coming up here. So I've gotten familiar with them a little bit. They've looked fairly strong overall for one of these kind of B-tier European teams. They put up some interesting games.
It's always cool to have new players join the scene because we do see a lot of recycling of all of the top talent. I mean, there's enough people that they can just jump around from team to team as every year dies out, and almost all of these players have been playing for a very, very long time, like ever since TI1 especially. Maybe not all of Moscow5 here actually. Blow Your Brain's obviously been on a lot of top Russian teams, and PGG's obviously been around since the beginning. But a couple of those other guys are a little unknown.
Yeah, one thing that Compass Gaming absolutely love is their Skywrath Mage. He is their most picked hero by a pretty big margin of their competitive matches on record. They've played him 9 times out of like 21, so almost a 50% pick rate when possible. And they'll pick him up right here. So a pretty nice pairing with the Earthshaker, but Moscow5, we're going to have some Ogre action with the Razor. I'm always excited to see Ogre. I like him now since he's been buffed up.
I was all about Ogre a couple months ago. I was like, no, I think Ogre is actually kind of good, and he's definitely better now because of his big regen buff. He was already super tanky. He can actually zone offlaners decently for a melee hero, and that's almost never the case for supports. So Ogre Magi has a lot of strengths. He's good at early roaming. He's kind of like a beefier Crystal Maiden, and Crystal Maiden was strong in the past because she had 2 disables. One was an immobilized mini stun, and the other one's an AoE slow. Ogre Magi can do kind of similar things. He can have like, I don't know, what is it like? Probably 200 to 300 magic damage at level 4, which is pretty good for a support hero. So he's a little bit weaker early game because Fire Blast did get nerfed to scale better with multicast, but he still can roam quite well. I mean, you can dive towers with him. You can tank like 6-7 tower shots before you're worried about dying. So he's actually a fantastic roamer and ganker if you can get him into position in the right spot. Yeah, and we've even seen a couple teams now experimenting with more of the core Ogre. Root Gaming is the team that's been putting Ogre mid. Yeah, they do it like every game. They love it. If it's not banned out, they go solo mid Ogre, and he goes like Soul Ring, Ags, Bloodstone, E-Blade, just tanks up and goes pretty hard with it. I haven't had the privilege of casting it, but Coddle Guy's been talking about it nonstop. So I mean, he probably, I mean, I haven't played it myself. I haven't played it mid at least. His animation's fantastic. His base damage ridiculously high. Survivability is ridiculously high. He is a melee hero, so maybe there's some lanes that you can exploit against. Maybe Viper versus Ogre would be pretty good, but maybe that's why we see a Viper ban here. Who knows? But I guess that could work. The only thing I'm a little unsure about is that I feel like the more you use Unrefined Fire Blast, it just drains all of your mana. So in really, really long engagements, like after you have a fight, you have to go back to base sometimes, unless you have I guess a Bloodstone will solve that problem. But that's interesting.
Yeah,
I doubt we'll see it this game though. I feel like Root is maybe more of an up and coming team that needs to do things that they really like and not necessarily stick to conventional strats.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see Moscow5 switch it up a little bit, though. They'll grab the Pugna here, and I have not seen them run any Pugna, I don't think, in the games I've cast over the past couple of weeks. So this is definitely a change of pace And rather curious. He did get a little buff in the last patch with Life Drain.
Yeah, yeah, Life Drain's been kind of a cool change. I've tried it out once or twice in a pub, and it was pretty fun. I wouldn't necessarily... I mean, you actually lose a lot of HP when you use it on healing your allies, so there's only so much you can do with it, and it does force you to not attack or cast any other spells. So I think it's kind of a limited use kind of a thing. I think they just grabbed the Pugna to counter the Skywrath Mage. It's very good against Shadow Shaman as well, because they're squishy heroes that have very high mana cost spells. So if you do get the Plague or the Nether Ward down, it can counter them quite nicely. But the Medusa is something that Pugna can't deal with very well, actually, unless you couple it with all of the magic bursts that they're currently running right now. So there is some synergy with Moscow5's lineup here, and more important than anything else, that hero's still amazing at taking towers.
Yeah, that's very true. And they'll have the Centaur here as their off-laner, probably the solo mid-Razor, and I would guess like a position 1 Pugna in the safe lane, racking up all that farm. So we can either rush a mech and open up some space for the Razor to go for some fast drums, maybe into an Ags, or if Razor wants to get the mech, maybe the Pugna could just go for a fast Aghanim's of his own, which we've certainly seen before, or just a fast Necrobook if he really wants to knock down towers.
Yeah, that is all. It's also very good against Medusa if you do grab a Necro 3, because draining her mana is absolutely important. Yeah, her mana pool, or I believe Mana Void, or Mana Shield, sorry, was buffed recently, so it's even more efficient. I think it's maybe just in the early levels, though. I think it got very slightly buffed at level 4.
60% now is pretty...
I mean, Medusa's actually been a pretty good hero for a while. Her ultimate is fantastic. I really love the split shot change they did, where it would hit minimum targets but still do the correct amount of damage, the 80% damage. Thought it was a really nice way to make her more viable early, because you can actually use split shot against 2 or 3 heroes. It's actually okay. I mean, her damage is so bad until you get 2 items, but it actually makes the skill pretty decent. So and Mystic Snake has been buffed. I actually haven't seen it since the movement speed increased. It just got movement speed increased. I've always been kind of a big fan of Mystic Snake in the early game. It always feels useless in the late game to me, but her ulti is still amazing if you have the right lineup. So
yeah.
I'm really excited that they picked Medusa.
We've actually been seeing a lot of Medusa recently, and Illidan's been the one that's playing her like almost every game. They love this Magnus Medusa combo for the RP Stone Gaze combo, and then of course you've got the Empower buff. So she's got a little bit of extra damage in there. But we've seen teams just sort of experimenting with the Medusa in general. She's pretty potent now.
Wow, Medusa and Anti-Mage?
Okay.
That's surprising. That's 2 carries that need a lot. Maybe they're going to play Medusa more of as a utility.
They're going to offlane Medusa. Yeah, Goric is their offlaner.
People do that?
I've only seen Compass do it. I saw them do it one time, and in that particular game it worked. I'm having trouble remembering.
Do you know what he builds? Does he go Blink Dagger or something to try to land good ultis or something like that?
Oh, let's see. I think he actually did get a Blink Dagger in that game.
Yeah.
It was fairly standard stuff, basically just power treads. He may have picked up a bottle into...
Drum maybe with a Blink.
Yeah,
is probably
like
my guess.
Drum, Aquila, Blink. Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Really
and after that went Yasha, Blinken's.
That makes sense. Really cheap stats that you can kind of do everything. You have Mana Shield, which allows you to tank pretty efficiently, and all you really need to do is cast your ulti and get in the middle and throw a Snake. And then you're relying on Snake for most of your damage to compensate for your lack of farm, and your ulti can leverage your team to do really good things, get people in the position. I would love to see Medusa ulti plus Plague Wards, or the Serpent Wards is probably pretty darn good damage, because it does increase the physical damage you take. I'm actually really excited to see this draft. I hope it works out, just because I want to see how viable it is. I find that they don't have a huge amount of synergy on KPG because of the Medusa ulti, but maybe I'm looking too much into that, because when they do get Stone Form, they don't take any magic damage, which means Skywrath can't kill people if they do get stoned by that, and Anti-Mage can't ulti. But his right click, if he gets Battle Fury, will be pretty good, but it's cleave damage, so the cleave damage is just going to do pure, it doesn't get accelerated. It's kind of anti-synergistic in some ways. It's a little confusing to me.
Yeah,
but
a little bit, but honestly, most of the Medusa games we've seen recently, they don't really get petrified that often. Most players are pretty good about turning around. You know, we've seen some like Medusa paired with LC because she can taunt and make you look a certain direction, but more often than not, it's just used for the slow to sort of force them into disarray where they want to run away, and that's where you can use your magic abilities to kind of catch them on the retreat. And that kind of stuff. So the Stone Gaze is almost more for setup, not really counting on the purification, but you do make a good point there for sure. Okay. So M5, their final pick was a Mirana that we were all caught up on that last pick, Anti-Mage, and it looks like she will just be the second support here for M5. They'll say, oh no, she'll be the offlaner. They'll send PG.
No, she has support. She's got sentries and a smoke.
Okay, so Tron's going to be on the Centaur. He'll be headed offlane. PGG will take the Mirana. Yeah, he'll be moving around with all these consumables. Tritada, this is Vigos, if you're familiar with him at all. That's him on the Razor there,
okay, yep.
under a different name. King R supporting on the Ogre, and of course Blow Your Brain here on the Farming Pugna. But King R, he's going to get sandwiched in here. Medusa going to start it off with some arrows. There are your shackles from PSM, and this should be an easy first blood. We'll see who grabs it. It's going to be Affa Ninja on the Shaker, and I think this is actually a core Shaker here, Purge.
Really?
It looks...
Oh, yeah, he bought his bottle already. Okay, it is going to be a mid-Earthshaker. Interesting.
Wow.
I do like that teams do a lot more rotations like this by the early rune spots, because there's so much more action on the map. People are less scared to move out towards the rune spots, so they just use the smoke. And I like that teams are doing this again, because I think there's a lot that can be exploited this way, and maybe teams are going to get more scared as time goes on, because they are trying to grab those bounty runes. It's not worth a bounty rune to die, though, so you have to be pretty careful with the new setup. So.
Yeah, definitely. PSM will grab that first bounty rune here. He'll be supporting on the Rasta. It will indeed be that offlane Medusa headed to the bottom, played by Gorak. That puts Affa Ninja mid on the Earthshaker. The other support got him on the Skywrath. He'll be floating up top and supporting the Anti-Mage Arts. He'll have plenty of regeneration and a Stout Shield to get things started up against his lane versus the Centaur.
Yeah, they should be able to zone him really easily. Skywrath Mage has great range and fantastic animation and Arcane Bolt on top of that. So I think that'll work out pretty nicely. I want to point out, I think I saw PGG guessing where the Observer Ward was. He put both sentries down in the river spot to see if there was anything there. So he predicted where the ward was. So they're just going to lane based on this. And the gank actually did not work. They tried coming from the front there to kill the Earthshaker, but it's not going to work. They almost needed to swing the Earthshaker, or sorry, the Ogre Magi around from the back and then set up the arrow. So that's a wasted smoke on M5 here.
Looks like they will try to do that, though. King R coming around the backside. The arrow flies through, just whiffs by the Earthshaker, shaves his beard a little bit, and he will survive. But the core Shaker will have his work cut out for him. Right now, it's kind of a mid-try lane versus him. Of course, these supports will be roaming around a bit, but out of the gate at least, they're making sure he doesn't have too easy a time. What do you think about the solo mid Earthshaker in general? I know Korok is a player that loves it, but in these EU games, it hasn't worked out. So we've seen a few teams experiment with it, and usually to pretty limited results.
Well, I mean, Earthshaker has huge playmaking abilities, obviously, and the more levels you get, the more stun duration that you're going to have earlier in the game. And obviously, a fast Blink Dagger can just stop pushes in its tracks, so maybe that's what part of the goal is here, is that if they do go for a big 5-man push strat, and they can delay the game enough, then their carry is a Razor, and that's all they're working with here. We might actually see Centaur die in the top lane here. We'll see arrows coming through. Oh, it's going to land on the Shadow Shaman. He's going to maybe try to make a play, but he doesn't quite have the mana for it. He's just now going to get the stomp. Stomps all 3 heroes, and they're going to get the kill. Big plays there by the Centaur, and that's going to give him about a level there and some space here, but PGG might pay for this here. Yeah, he's going to die.
Trouble. Only level 1, no leap available. Now he's out of mana. Got him, looking for the body blocks. PGG eats through the tree line, but the body blocks are there. Got him. Is it enough? Ooh. One more auto attack will bring him down. Arts will commit for it. Blinks into the tower range. Tron almost brings down Got him, but now Arts, he's going to take some hefty damage here also.
He's got to be careful.
No double edge, but oh, now Tron caught in the Stretch Armstrong shackles. Arts has drained all of his mana, but PGG's here. Arrow will hit PSM at close range. This is a crazy skirmish here up top. Has Got him getting clicked by PGG. He leaps aggressively for this.
Oh, he gets it. Oh, he got blocked by creeps. Oh, that's so unfortunate. I was like, all right, there's no way he's going to get 2 hits in, but he did. Nice leap by PGG, and he secures the kill. A lot of back and forth there, and they didn't kill the Centaur. Really, really close there.
Yeah. So looking at the fight recap, it's a 2-for-2 and just about a dead even exchange, but down bottom, Gorak's in some trouble. He will get blasted by the Pugna. Now King R trying to bring in the body blocks. Your mana shield's turned on. Gorak may well survive this. He's just a little too tanky. The wand charge is going to top him off. King R looking for the fire blast, but getting fogged, can't find it, and Gorak just barely survives that onslaught.
Yeah, he was definitely going to survive that. Oh, that's right, they changed mana shield to absorb 60% now as well instead of 50. Yeah. Magic Stick is one of the best items for Medusa. Just general heal there gives you HP and it also gives you mana. So instead of healing about 250 HP or 225 HP, it probably does more like 400, I would guess, with a full Magic Stick, or Magic Wand, that is. So, especially in offlane here, it's really efficient. Every time they cast, he's not getting just 15 HP, he's getting a lot more, 20 or 30 or something.
Now he'll get decrept, takes another Nether Blast. Again, King R trying to get in the front lines, using that big Ogre body to block him out, but stick charges, and not enough this time. Pugna will find the kill.
He almost got away there. It was really, really close.
Yeah.
But the Magic Wand still, he went back to lane. He almost survived despite taking full rotation of spells. It really just shows how good the Magic Stick is. And maybe this is going to be pretty viable. Medusa offlane. The downside is that she has one of the worst early strengths in the game. Her early stats, she had like 410 HP or something like that. It's really pathetic. So it is hard to survive here even with the Magic Stick efficiency.
Yep. So Blow Your Brain finds a kill there, and this safe lane farming Pugna off to a good start. Actually, the last hit leader, 16-9 in terms of CS, and here we'll have our unpause. The anti-mage doing okay, 1-0-2, so lacking in the last hits a little bit, but making up for it in kills as they'll look towards PGG once more. He's just going to chip away at the Centaur, who does now have his level 3 and the double edge. PGG, nope, not going to be the one to get caught in the shackles. Will throw an arrow. The Doves will chase him down. Now Tron comes in, hoof stomp onto Arts in the tower range. Well, it takes a tower shot or two, but at the end of it, it is just a kill onto the Mirana, and KPG now pulling to the lead.
We normally don't see Centaurs go for an early level of return here, but I feel like it's really profited the Centaur here because the tri-lane that KPG is working with is really scary with 2 ranged heroes, lots of disables, and magic bursts, and it's really reflected a lot of damage back towards the supports and made costed them a lot of regen. So I'm pretty happy with the fact that he got returned this game. I think it's been useful.
Yeah, and meanwhile in the mid lane, all these ganks in other lanes have opened up some space for the Earthshaker. He's found his level 5. CS, okay, 11-2 versus the 17-11 Razor. You'd certainly expect the Razor to have the upper hand in this matchup. So the fact that he's getting experience rather uncontested is good news, but that's going to change soon. Big Ogre coming in from the side. Will connect with the Fire Blast. There's your arrow, and oh yeah, that's going to be a dead shaker. Tritada draining a lot of damage. PSM going to get clipped down by the whips, and it's a double kill for VGOS, but the tower might be enough. Well, Gotham's going to have him with the Doves. They'll chase him down, and he gets a recovery kill, and he will be able to make it out. He does have boots, so he's pretty fast. Ignite will actually slow him down. PGG has an arrow. If they can connect with one as he turns the corner, this will be a kill, but nope, guesses to the left, and Gotham's going right. So it will be a 1-for-2 in the mid. At least he gets the counter kill on Razor, but doesn't quite make up for that double kill.
Yeah, landing that arrow is almost impossible there. And the Ogre Magi has been roaming a lot, but he's only level 3, so his nuke damage is actually not that amazing. He's only hitting for about, I don't know, 170 magic damage right now. But even still, he can dive towers. He can still right-click. Oh, arrow's going to land on Anti-Mage on the top lane. What a huge play there. That was a Centaur stomp when they were trading hits, and PGG happened to be in the area, lands the arrow, and a kill on Anti-Mage that honestly shouldn't happen, but really nice play from M5. There was nothing they could do about it once the first Centaur stomp landed.
Yeah, absolutely. So now down bottom, this tower is starting to take some decent damage. Gorak getting harassed pretty hard, and Blow Your Brain is level 6. Doesn't even have the maxed out Nether Blast yet, but has a Basilius and the Arcane Boot. So getting that mana regen will actually just TP home, fill up his whole mana bar, and rendezvous for a smoke, and just book it back to the lane. PGG and King R off to the races, and we'll be looking for a gank as Tritada grabs himself a double damage rune, and he'll rotate up top. Looks like they may try to gank the anti-mage once more, but alas, another pause.
Yeah. I'm actually really happy that the game's paused because it's really interesting so far, I feel, and there's a lot of cool things to talk about. Medusa, for example, is almost level 6 here. Centaur is about a level behind, so the offlaner on the dire side is going a bit better. I like that. The Pugna's also going to probably... Oh, he's actually just going back to the bot lane to continue pushing. I guess this works out. I mean, trying to deny Medusa farm is pretty important here. She's almost got a boots pickup, whatever she wants. I feel like treads is maybe the way to go since you're probably stat needed.
Yeah, we've seen kind of a mixture. It's almost 50-50, the phase boots and the treads.
Really?
I think for off lane, the treads make a little more sense just to have that utility.
I kind of like treads in both situations, carry and... but positioning is obviously really important as well, so it kind of depends how much you need your ulti. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Razor's actually beating Earthshaker pretty handily in last hits, but now that he's leaving the lane to gank with a DD rune, and he actually got spotted here, so he wasted a lot of time coming to the top lane. So that's not necessarily the best thing, and Earthshaker is going for... What's he farming? Phase Boots and a TP Scroll, so we'll see if he gets in the game anytime soon.
Yep. And will be Phase Boots out on the Medusa. She'll pick him up at the side shop as the smoke has been revealed in the top lane. 2 supports coming in. The Fishing Arrow flies through the trees, won't connect with anything. Tritada intercepting the lane, gets the link out on Arts. He'll be able to blink over the tree line. Good positioning there as he'll be okay, and PSM moves into the tree. So looks like they'll just kind of chip at the tower, and this is a really awkward rotation from M5 where they have 4 heroes committed for this. Deuce is free farming, Earthshaker was getting some farm and now rotates, and they've got absolutely nothing out of this except pushing the AM out of lane.
Yeah, even the Earthshaker shifted over to try to help out, and nobody's farming mid. There's EXP and last hits that could be getting taken, but they're just not right now. Ward's getting placed down as well for Medusa, so he's going to spot the enemies. He doesn't have very much mana either, but luckily the really good thing about Phase Boots here in the offlane is that the positioning advantage is going to help a lot. Medusa's a little slow, and also if she ends up trading any hits with heroes or going for last hits, she's going to be a lot better. So I guess Phase Boots is pretty darn good here. Yeah. I think Treads is better for the actual battle, but for the laning stage, the Phase Boots are far superior.
Yeah, and you'll see Gorak just cruising around, dodges the arrow, and now M5 will move into the tower. And per usual with Pugna, it's not a matter of will he kill this tower, it's a matter of when. And he'll start spamming the Nether Blast. King R looking for the wraparound, has a Fire Blast and a level 2 Ignite at the ready. And we'll miss a kill on Centaur up top as Gorak just gets destroyed down bottom. The Decrep with all the damage from Blow Your Brain doesn't even stand a chance.
Yeah, that's the advantage in their lineup, is that they have almost all magic nukes. Actually, 4 of their heroes, with the exception of Razor's right clicks and minus armor with his ulti, are magic nukes. So they're ready to do decrep combos to blow heroes up. It doesn't matter if you have spell shield, you're still going to get killed. The only hero that's going to be good against this is Anti-Mage, and maybe this is why KPG drafted it. They're like, oh, you have 4 magic heroes, I'll just grab Anti-Mage, and even if you have stuns, I'm going to take a lot to go down.
Yeah, let's get some spell shield going on here. It looks like he will move into a Battle Fury first. Let's have the Ring of Health as we see some initiation up top. PSM almost dies to the Plasma Field. Pretty close call with about 70 hit points to spare. King R, Invisibility Rune in the mid. Scouting out Alpha Ninja. I don't think he can find a solo kill, but if he sets this up with a stun and there's a TP rotation, very possibly could bring some hurt onto this Earthshaker.
Yeah, I think the Razor's been roaming a lot this game, and he hasn't gotten a huge amount from it. He's only at 33 CS, which if he was sitting mid, he would definitely be closer to 50, and he would actually deny a lot of farm from the Earthshaker. I mean, he's also pressured the Anti-Mage, so he's basically sacrificing his last hits for the hope that Anti-Mage will get a couple less.
King R gets dunked in the mid. Alpha Ninja, he wants this kill, and he's going to commit for it, but takes an arrow in tower range. PGG will turn it around, and it will end up being a kill on the core Shaker, but a close call. I think if that was any other hero besides the Ogre, that would have been a kill as he waddles away with just a few hit points to spare.
That regen, man.
Yeah.
He's regenning the whole time in his PGG's super sick arrow, though. 2, 2, and 3, he's playing really well. He's been a part of 5 of the 8 kills this game. He's hit level 6 in 9 minutes, despite not pulling a single time, and that's amazing. It takes a lot of skill to do this much on Mirana.
Yeah. Certainly makes it look easy. Gorak in the off lane now picks up his Basilius and finding a lot of space to farm. His net worth is actually not too bad. A little bit ahead of that of the Centaur. The difference here is the Medusa, of course, scales a lot better. I think it's safe to assume KPG have the late game secured. It's more getting there, and that mid game Centaur has his Blink Dagger. Pugna's come online a bit, and they're starting to group up and knock down towers. It looks like Pugna will indeed rush that Aghanim Scepter.
Will he really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be good if people jump in first. Most notably, keeping Razor alive is going to be really important. It's going to allow Razor to do really, really aggressive things, and he can back him up if he gets in a lot of trouble. So I'll love to see that make some plays if possible.
Yeah, well, up top, Tron uses his Stampede. Arrow connects onto PSM as he comes out with the Shackles. It'll be an easy kill on the Shadow Shaman, and Anti-Mage will be able to blink back to safety. So just a 1-0. Not too bad. They were hoping to get a little more out of that first Stampede, but kill's a kill, and Razor finally getting some benefits from all these rotations.
Yeah, if the Centaur would have been able to stun the Shadow Shaman, they maybe could have tried to save the arrow to go for the Anti-Mage instead. But getting a kill and pressuring the tower is good, and again, Anti-Mage is not getting last hits right now. He's actually the 4th in net worth right now. They have 2 heroes in M5 that are higher than him, so this roaming is actually working out pretty good. Good arrow attempt there, but instead PG is going to get caught. He's got to wait for the sound so he can leap in a second here, but I think he's in a lot of trouble. Another blink soon. Nope, Moonlight Shadow, and that should set him invis. Any detection? Nothing. So he's going to live just fine here. A lot of space being created, a lot of pressure on the top lane. The only downside is, again, the Medusa is farming on the bot lane. She's picked up an Aqua, and she's going to buy as many cheap stat items as she can get so that she can try to do more than the Anti-Mage will be able to do now.
Yeah, Razor's trying to be very aggressive here. Connects to the Plasma Field, already out of mana. Arrow will connect onto Gotham from downtown. Shackles onto Chertada. They will secure the kill onto Gotham, and Art's taking some pretty decent damage now. Has a mana break, uses it on the Razor, finds the kill there. Gorak looking for PGG, uses the ultimate, but can't find a kill. Meanwhile, on the other side of it, King R, the Ogre, is on the run.
It's fine, man.
And
he's got 8 armor. There's no way he's going to die. All right.
A little too much.
If it wasn't for Shackles.
Arts finds the kill, but that's a good trade for KPG, and M5 just getting over-aggressive there. I'm not sure exactly what Razor's plan was, just trying to harass with the Plasma Field, I guess, but that's going to end up being about a 900 net worth change in favor of the Dire. Even though M5 are still holding on to a pretty sizable gold lead, some of it coming from that Tier 1 tower down bottom, which they picked up minutes ago.
Well, it's actually a pretty big loss there, so that's rough. Huh. Well, let's see how the Earthshaker's doing. 1,400 gold, so he's farming towards the Blink Dagger, and once he has that, we are going to see some big combos. Especially with Enchant Totem, his bonus damage will be, what, 4? It's going to be about 400 physical damage. So if he preps this, and he blinks on top of Pugna, he can definitely kill him immediately. Enchant Totem, Blink, Echo Slam, hit him, and then Enchant Totem again to hit him a second time. And that guy's going to die really quickly. So when he comes online, this game's going to change drastically. It looks like a pretty big M5 lead here, but they can definitely come back.
Yeah, will be another Tier 1 tower down, and we'll see the fight break out. Tritada on the front lines. Rasta Ward's utilized straight away as PSM takes a huge amount of burst damage out of the gate. Starstorm to finish him off, but Tritada in deep takes a Mystic Flare, will end up going down. That makes it a 1-for-1 as Arts on the other side of the fight, just clicking down on these two casters. Blow Your Brain, going to lose a lot of mana, but Stampede, Tron to the rescue, connects with a Stomp onto Arts, Life Drain. And he's just too damn tanky. This Anti-Mage with a mana break onto Pugna. The Petrify flies through, and Marana will get stuck in that position. Ends up going down, and it's KPG that'll come out way ahead here. Tron now gets left behind, and it'll end as a 4-for-0 trade, possibly even 5. King R's left all alone. The Snake will finish him off, or
that
get
armor,
him low, and
not enough.
See you later, Ogre. Moscow5 get completely cleaned up after taking that Tier 1 tower top, Purge.
This is just really, really smart game plan from KPG. This is why they drafted the Anti-Mage, and that's what I mentioned before. They have an all-magic nuke lineup, they've got an Anti-Mage, and look how they built him. He's got a Vanguard. He has Treads, a Vanguard, and a Basilius. This is a really old build that I haven't seen in forever. The last time I saw somebody do this, it was Havost going Anti-Mage with Vanguard into Vlad's first item. This is the battle Anti-Mage. It's not about farming. It's about getting in there and going 5-1-7 on your hard carry. Yeah. Like, the way they started the fight was Anti-Mage walked in first. He saw 3 heroes. He's like, okay, whatever. Throw your stuff on me. I've got Spell Shield, which is a hood for 1 skill point, and I've got a Vanguard. And he took the damage, and he started fighting, and he kept fighting. And the problem with Pugna is he's got Arcane Boots. He's got the highest int gain in the game, and he was completely out of mana. That's an easy kill as well. Like,
look at his mana pool. He's got nearly 1,200 at 14 minutes. Yeah. That's a big mana void if you can get it off. And even though he's not going this quote farming build, he's still #1 on net worth. All these hero kills have completely paid off. And now there's a Blink Dagger on Earthshaker, making things even more difficult for the Radiant. We'll see Tron up top get initiated on perhaps as a fight will break out in the mid. No, Dusa just TP's mid. Earthshaker's the one to get taken out as the Decrep comes through, and now Moonlight Shadow used. Arrow from PGG almost hits PSM, but he will sidestep it. They'll move into the tower. Whoa, where's this courier going?
Okay, it's going to be okay.
Oh, man.
So basically M5 is putting all the pressure on the Anti-Mage because they're like, oh, it's an Anti-Mage. He's going to get a Battle Fury. He's going to get a Mantle. We got to slow that down. But instead, to compensate, KPG just said, fine, we'll get a Vanguard on him. This is what we're planning to do the whole time. We'll start fights with them. It's going to be all good.
Yep, and now a fight will break out in the mid. Gorek joining the party. Mystic Flare in the middle. They'll lose their Shadow Shaman and their Skyrat. The Pugna doing so much damage here. Stone Gaze utilized, but they're all on the run. A little ring around the rosy there as Pugna gets finished off by the Anti-Mage. Gorek gets multicast. Razor stealing her damage, and there's only so much the Gorgon can do. Now it's KPG that overcommit. Anti-Mage thinking about hopping in, but doesn't have an ultimate. Instead, will just click down Vigos and ultimately has to blink back. Looks like the Crimson Guard will be his item of choice, as well as an Aquila.
I'm not sure if I like the Crimson Guard. I like the Vanguard pickup, but I feel like that's maybe too far into damage items. He did go a proper skill build that'll allow him to compensate for that. If he went stats build and got a Crimson Guard, his hero would be useless. It's like playing ability draft with those guys that grab 3 passives, you know?
Yeah.
But I like the Vanguard. I'm just not entirely sure if the full item is the right choice.
Yeah, we actually saw a game earlier today with a very similar build on this Anti-Mage Vanguard right into the Crimson Guard, and in that case it worked well, but it was a lot more physical right clickers rather than here where the big bulk of the damage output is going to be magical. And even Razor, their big physical damage dealer, still does some magical damage with that plasma field.
Oh,
so.
It does stop Eye of the Storm, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Because that should be physical damage, as long as it doesn't have like a special exception, like the Exorcism Ghost or something.
I know it doesn't do Rasta Wards, it doesn't do Plague Wards, it doesn't block Exorcism. Okay. There's another key one that I'm forgetting.
I'm not sure if it does Eye of the Storm or not. We'll find out. You know what it does block? Cleave damage. So if any of these heroes on M5 buy Battle Furies, they're going to be set.
Oh boy. Well, bottom tier 1 tower will take some heat as KPG press into it, and no glyph will even be used by Moscow5. They just let it go down, don't even bother delaying here, as the Crimson Guard's actually been delivered to the Anti-Mage now. Instead, they'll just set their sights towards the tier 2 mid, go for a tower for tower exchange. Dire do have a glyph though, and could try to make a hold. They will glyph that last Nether Blast, and in goes Tron, connects with the Hoof Stomp on 2. Stampede, double edge on PSM and Gorek. Arrow flies through, hits the Dusa, and Rasta Wards will come down behind the tower. Now everyone's starting to spread out. Gorek off to the side, taking a lot of damage, will go down to the Razor. Alpha Ninja gets off a dunk onto Blow Your Brain. Do they actually have the damage to bring him down? They do. And it's a 2-for-1 with KPG on the back foot. They've lost their tier 2 tower mid. Now Alpha Ninja blocks in King R. Arts is the one to get hit by the arrow. That tanky Ogre is still alive. He's going to regenerate in the tree line. Now they've lost their Skyrat. The stun on the Anti-Mage. King R, he's baiting out the Anti-Mage. He will blink to disjoint the Ignite. King R just TP's home. He lives. Now Alpha Ninja on the run. They should be able to chase him down, but no, he's got the blink. And He will survive. Still a great fight for M5, a 1-for-3 hero exchange.
And got arrowed on the way home. It was really close. That was a great fight by M5 there. I feel like the Earthshaker is not pulling his weight this game.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an initiation. He went to counter-initiate. He dropped the fissure. It only caught the Pugna. And I think what happened was there was another ward down. And when you cast your spell, then it does damage to you, and then it interrupts your blink, and then you can't go in. So he fissured to counter-initiate, but what he needed to do was blink in first and then start casting. But he didn't really see the right opportunity, and unfortunately it just meant that KPG got initiated on, and they weren't able to turn things correctly. So that was just kind of a function of the situations not being perfect and Earthshaker not being able to, you know, make value of his hero.
Yeah, and now with all of this gold that M5 have picked up, Razor will rush his Aghanims and now look towards a BKB with that second Ogre Club. And blow your brain on the Pugna, not too far away from his Aghanim Scepter, only 200 gold to grab that Blade of Alacrity, and he'll be there. PGG is gone for the mech, and we've already seen that Blink Dagger on the Centaur, who's working on a Force Staff. So M5 just going for these great mid-game oriented items, and it's already a little bit rough for KPG, and now with this new arsenal of item progression, things will be a little difficult in these upcoming skirmishes. Ninja connects with a fissure onto Trittata, but they've got a defensive Stampede, and Razor will float to safety down near the bottom room.
Well, I guess they're going to continue pushing them. They want to try to take that tower. When Razor finishes his BKB, he's going to be really safe, because there isn't a lot of physical damage coming out of KPG for a while. Again, Anti-Mage made the Crimson Guard, and the Life Break, or the Mana Break, doesn't work if you're magic immune, so it's pretty much relying on Medusa to pick up some items, and she's just got the drum with Aqua and Phase right now, which is pretty good, but for an offlane, 19 minutes is good, I think, but she's going to need at least another damage item before she even gets close to damaging this Razor in a decent speed.
Even the mech versus no mech makes a big difference here. As they lose the tier 2 tower down bottom, there's just no way that KPG can easily defend it. Gorek will try to survive up top. He uses the ultimate to make the escape, but TP gets interrupted by a point-blank arrow from PGG. Now Gorek's on the run. Tron will have a blink in about 5 seconds. Moonlight Shout has been deployed, and there will be a TP to the tier 2 tower to try and rendezvous, but got him. Will he be able to get here in time? Nope. Gorek's in some serious trouble. The Fissure will help break things up. Mystic Flare off the mark, but the dunk from Ninja secures the kill onto the Centaur. Now it's King R that's on the run. The Doves chase him down. Ninja with a Fissure in about 4 seconds. He will turn, looks for the kill on Got him, recognizes he's dead anyhow. Will make it a 1-for-1 before he falls. And M5 getting a little bit of extra out of this, but now PGG left behind. Ninja hits him with the Enchant Totem, the leap. Oh, just over the edge of the fissure. And PGG barely survives. Now on the other side of the fight, Trittata and Blow Your Brain going on to Gorek. This is one tanky Medusa. Breaks the link of the life drain. Trittata has one more plasma field, just doesn't do enough damage. And now the fissure blocks him out. PSM on the backside. This Medusa, look how tanky she is already with just these kind of basic core items. It's pretty ridiculous.
I like that Blow Your Brain giving a little bit of heal to the Razor. He's got to run home. Oh, there's the disable. So Blow Your Brain's going to go down here. He's going to pop a wand, maybe. Decrep, wand, life drain. There it is. He's getting some health, but he's going to get right-click down, and that's going to be the end of his life.
Wow. Art's now on an unstoppable streak as this Anti-Mage cleans house, and well, Trittata, he might not be out of the clear yet. Art's going to come down from the low ground, got him on the high ground. He'll take the static link, but another long-range fissure. Mystic Flare not going to do a hell of a lot once more, but the Mana Void certainly will. Enough to finish off the Razor. A huge streak going the way of Anti-Mage. And now King R, Big Ogre comes back in, but PSM connects with the Shackles. They've got some follow-up stuns, and they'll get yet another kill. Ninja secures that one. M5, they're not done yet. This is just one long, drawn-out team fight, as it will finally settle down a little bit. PSM pretty low on the other side of the river. They will let him live, and KPG will walk away. Arrow, oh, a little bit of a close call there, but just look at this graph, so back and forth, but it is KPG that regain a lot of momentum.
Yeah, they're getting gold back to even, and they've also got an EXP advantage here. And as the game goes later and later, it's going to get better for them, because M5 is trying to just do a 5-man push strat. But these fights are going semi-even and sometimes towards KPG. And again, Medusa's now got a Blade of Alacrity, so that's going to be working towards a Manta style. Once he grabs Manta, he's got more stats, he's even faster, he hits a little harder, and he gets a lot more damage with Split Shot. So they have to keep the Medusa from getting 2 items. If she gets 2 items, the game gets insanely hard for M5 here.
Yeah, and even the Anti-Mage, he's still #1 on net worth by a pretty decent amount, about 1,500 gold, has his Yasha, probably looking for a Manta himself. Pretty damn core on the Anti-Mage.
Yep.
And this mid-game for M5, even though it's tied up 20-20, the clock is ticking. They really, once that 30-minute mark or so comes, that's when Dusa and Anti-Mage will really be hitting hard. And Trittata up top, losing a lot of mana as Art's just chipping away at him. May come back for a static link, but Art's not too afraid. He'll just keep finding last hits.
He really needs a Void Stone or something. I mean, it's not worth making a Battle Fury now, but this is the problem with the old build. Oh, he might be in trouble. I just don't see him dying. He's going to blink away. There's a Crimson Guard, blink, and TP.
The Spell Shield does so much against the Centaur. Normally you think of that double edge as that huge hitting ability, but it just kind of tickled him. Yeah,
he's not going to die in this build. He's actually quite invulnerable in this game. I almost want him to get Battle Fury. I mean, the Manta's way better offensively, but he's missing some mana sometimes, and his right click is okay, but not amazing.
Yeah. With that, KPG move into the Roche Pit. They don't have any minus armor, no medallion, but they've got Rost Awards, which they'll be happy to commit and try and finish this off, but they're not going to be able to take it down too quickly. The fishing arrow comes in, scouts it out. M5 are Moonlight Shadowed, but there's a ward down. Alpha Ninja with the dunk to get it started. Out comes the Mystic Flare. They'll find the kill on Blow Your Brain to get things started. Alpha Ninja force stabs to the high ground, and he'll actually live. Looking for a deny on the neutrals perhaps, but doesn't even need it. Ends up getting finished off by the Ogre, and meanwhile Gorek will get double edged down by Tron. It's not looking so hot for KPG in this skirmish as Arts is forced to back out. Roche will clean up the Rost Awards, and now M5. They not only take a good team fight, but they'll be able to secure the Roche.
Yeah, that was a little too greedy there from KPJ. They can't get smoked into like that because it's so hard to defend out in the open. I mean, it was a good attempt by the Earthshaker, I think, to jump out and try to Echo Slam a couple, and he did good damage, and they killed the Pugna really fast. But after that, they just got cleaned up. The Shadow Shaman wards are already in the Roche Pit, and from there, they don't have a huge amount of damage. It's basically up to Earthshaker and Skywrath Mage trying to kill off one hero really fast, and they did that, but after that, they've got no more damage output.
Yeah, as we saw there. So it will be Razor to grab the Aegis of the Immortal. Not quite as good of an Aegis carrier as he once was. Now Eye of the Storm no longer persists through the Aegis death, but still a hero that they'll have up in the front lines and probably a likely target. So still useful to have that second life, undoubtedly. And yeah, looks like KPG will just kind of go back to farming a little bit, slow down the tempo. Things completely zeroed out. A very minor gold lead for M5 and experience graph less than 1,000 in favor of KPG. So 24 minutes in, it's still dead even, Purge.
Well, we'll see how things transition. The Earthshaker has only grabbed a Force Staff since his Blink Dagger, so he's just got more utility for now. Anti-Mage is very close to his Manta style, and as they do get 5 and 6 items, things are going to be looking pretty good. PGG's got Arcane Boost, so you can actually afford his mech now. He had trouble using that in the other fights a few times. And Centaur, anything new? Force Staff for him.
Yep.
Pugna's working towards BKB, but very far away, just the Ogre Club. And Ogre Magi is going to slowly start his eggs. So, I mean, items are still pretty close. Nobody really has anything that's going to change the game massively for a bit, but I just feel like M5's a lot stronger at fighting right now. They have a lot more stuns. Stuns are really important when you're lacking damage in some ways because it just buys you time to cool down and use more things.
He walks right into a ward. He'll get shackled. Mystic Flare makes it an easy kill, and it is Arts that'll finish him off. So a huge streak on this anti-mage. He's 9-1-9, and now has a full Manta style coming out on the Courier. So that is one of those core items that does make him a lot more scary, and of course a lot more mana burn to be coming out.
So if they can chain stun a hero like Pugna and then mana void him afterwards, you could see multiple heroes just, I mean, that could be the whole fight just being one. So if there's a Crimson Guard being used, he's going to definitely go on the Pugna. Here comes the Manta split. Nope, he's taking his sweet time here. Oh, mana voiding immediately there, wants to do some damage, but the life drain's coming through. Medusa's going to go down. Echo Slam does finish off the Pugna. Fissure catching 3 as well. The Illusion's draining the rest of the mana from the Ogre Magi. He's not going to have a cast. Nope, one more Fire Blast. He does get finished off, and the ward's cleaning things up. Here comes a respawn from Razor. I assume there's the in-stun, and they're going in.
Yeah, Shackles will lock him in place, and it's a great fight for KPG. Mirana will respawn just as that fight kind of gets cleaned up. But they burned the Aegis. They did lose their top tier 2 tower in the fray there. So the little team fight recap won't reflect that. Still 2,000 net worth in favor of KPG. And it's the anti-mage, it's the big breadwinner. His net worth lead furthers by that much more with another 1,000 gold already after picking up the Manta.
Yeah, that was a great fight. The reason they took it was because the bottom was already dead. So it makes sense. 5v4, it's going to go fine. And it did actually go really well. They initiated on the proper target. They killed Pugna right away. They didn't allow him to use his Aghanims. His Aghanim Scepter has honestly not even been useful this game, I feel. I think he might have been a lot better off just going BKB first, perhaps. Just to get his magic community up so he doesn't have to worry about being stunned. He can actually cast his spells. I mean, they have enough stuns with Earthshaker that he actually isn't going to get a whole lot of life drain off. Plus, there's Silence from Skywrath Mage, and Anti-Mage is going to drain his mana anyways, especially now that he's a Manta style. And KPG is just coming back every fight. Arrow? Ooh, that's close.
Yeah, it's almost like Moscow5 are not aware that you get a new glyph when your tier 1 towers go down. They could have glyphed that and maybe forced the anti-mage to stick around a little bit longer.
Just forget.
Possibly, yeah. That's old habits die hard, as they say.
Yeah, definitely.
So, not a huge deal, but possibly could have forced him to hang around a few seconds longer. Now, it is also the Earthshaker that's really picked up a lot of momentum off these successful fights. He has his mobility items, another 2,600 gold, so something like a Veil of Discord could be coming out before too long on the Earthshaker. Yeah, or, I don't know, what are you thinking here? Maybe
Eggs, BKB. Probably BKB, I would say, would be the best. Because his damage is good if he just doesn't die.
Yeah.
So he's just got to let his cooldowns come, I think is what he's going to have to
Tier 3 tower. Getting clipped pretty hard. Arts will take a stun. Force Staff back. Keeps him alive. Now Tron, he gets Hex, turned into a Ram. He'll get Force Staff back. Great Force Staff play on both sides of the coin. He gets decrept, and both sides will disengage. PSM getting a little too hasty with those Rost awards. Will delay the push, but ends up being a little bit of a wasted cooldown. On the bottom lane, Gorek does pressure that tier 2 tower, so at least KPG gets something out of this kind of stalemate as they're locked in their base and the wards get cleaned up. So some gold get fed over to M5.
Medusa really hasn't transitioned into any items in a while. Her KD isn't very good. Seems like she's dying in a lot of the fights. The Snake is doing good things here. Big damage there. But they're just trying to slow the push down. They know that if they delay this game, it's over. But the problem is Nether Blast. If he gets anywhere near your tower every 5.5 seconds, look at that chunk of damage. Just loses about 150 here.
Yep. So they can just sort of slow siege this tower. There is a glyph for KPG, but against that slow siege of Pugna, when do you use the glyph is the problem. You can't really just glyph for a single Nether Blast, but at the same time, you can't really just stand there and watch your tower get taken out. So they also use the Eye of the Storm, and M5 should be somewhat happy with that. They did lose their tier 2 tower, but essentially finished off this tier 3 mid.
And they've got BKB finished on Razor, so I think he's in a pretty good spot as well. The rest of the heroes are going to move across the map, though. Maybe it's going to be KPG's turn to put some pressure back on. Yeah,
Blow Your Brain also very close to his BKB. Just about 500 gold away from that Mithril Hammer, and then he'll have that magic immunity. So Anti-Mage still farming well, 2,300 gold following that Manta style, and Dusa getting close, just a recipe away now from having a split of her own. Also soon to be 16, so that Stone Gaze gets a little bit more powerful, though.
I think the big interaction in this game in terms of items is M5's finishing their BKBs. Might see an arrow on... Nope, Anti-Mage is going to be
close call.
All the BKBs are going to be finished on M5 very soon. They're going to have 2 on very core heroes. And KPG, it doesn't have them. But what KPG does have is 3 Force Staffs. So that might do just the same thing.
Art's getting stunned up here. If they can stun lock him down, they might be able to find a kill. But no, he just blinks to rendezvous with his team. Crimson Guard gets popped, and they'll survive for now. But a 5-second stun as the arrow connects. Stampede forward. They should be able to bring down the Anti-Mage. They Force Staff him. Alpha Ninja comes in with the dunk, sets up the kill on PGG. King R taking some damage from the Skywrath ultimate. But now the Dire team taking a lot of damage. Tritada gets hexed, but Eye of the Storm just doing so much work. PSM, he's going to die while he's trying to get off the shackles. It's a 3-for-3. Pugna coming back in, gets the Nether Ward down, and now the Decrep, the Nether Blast, and the Life Drain doing a lot of damage to Gorek. Got him now taking tower shots. Needs to be careful as Pugna will try to chase him down. And 1 Q will be enough to finish him off, but I don't think he's going to be able to get in range to get off a good one. And nope, certainly won't. And now walks by the roster ward.
Maybe outplayed.
The range
Observer ward, man. It gave vision, and that was the kill. I felt like he could have maybe made that play as well, but it was a mistake completely. They had that Observer ward there, so kill secured there.
Yeah, another very even trade, though. End of the day, it is a 4-for-3, no buybacks used. So M5 getting slightly better at the exchange.
Medusa didn't die for once.
Yeah, that's good news. Her Manta's
pretty good. I can't believe the Anti-Mage almost lived. Do you see how close that was? He's like, time to blink, see ya, suckers! And then he died. If he actually had a 10-charge stick, if he would use this stick before he blinked. But that's so hard to do when those little panic moments, you're like, do I have time to click it and then make sure it reacts and then blink? You just didn't get it off, so...
Yeah, the Force Staff play's been spot on. They had him locked down, and they Force Staffed him kind of forward down towards the Centaurs, but it still caught him off guard. Yeah, it delayed a lot of damage output, and almost bought him that time that he needed. So Razor, he looks like he'll move into an Assault Karas, has himself the Hyperstone. They just want to go for maximum push as Tron even picks up a Vanguard, probably a Crimson Guard on him. Moonlight Shadow used by M5. This tower will go down.
Sick deny.
They'll glyph it, and wow, that was a pretty good deny. The glyph a little bit wasted there, though. Not really getting a hell of a lot out of it. Now the barracks will be exposed, and Pugna can do the same thing, kind of rinse and repeat, spam the Q, but not if Arts has something to say about it. He hops in, but as does Tron, isolates him from the rest of the team. PSM taking a lot of damage here. It is Skywrath that goes down first, but they lose their Centaur in exchange. A 1-for-1 with Arts off to the side. A couple get petrified as Dusa pops the ultimate, but KPG on the back foot. Dusa barely lives. They've lost their Shadow Shaman. He manages to get his wards down, but now Tritada going hard on the barracks. Has the Eye of the Storm online, and that'll be ranged barracks down. Melee to follow. PGG off to the side. He's just a distraction at this point.
Space created to the max.
Yeah, sure, he dies, but they get this mid lane of Rax easy, and Tritada, he makes the escape by scooting down bottom.
All right, so they're shifting down. I think the slight item build mistake on Centaur here. He built a Vanguard. He really needed a hood in that fight.
Yeah. He
got shackled. There was a Skywrath ulti, and as soon as the Skywrath ulti hit, I was like, didn't that guy just build a Vanguard? That was a mistake. He really needed a hood there. A pipe was probably the way to go. I mean, you've got an Earthshaker, you've got Shadow Shaman. Even Medusa's Snake is pretty good at clearing waves. You've got to keep the wave up, let it go high ground, and then take towers. They still got the racks, so it didn't matter that much, but very slight mistake there.
Yeah, Tritada down bottom gets dunked. Huge dunk from Ninja. And they'll find the kill on Razor. Streak ended there as Arts picks up that gold. So probably a basher coming out for him with that belt of strength. So he is still quite online, #1 on net worth, holding that slot without any farm accelerators. Still very impressive play overall from Arts, 11, 2, and 12. And Dusa with 1,600 gold still hasn't found any other core items. Turning into a pretty interesting game here as we're looking more towards the latter portion of the mid-game. 33 minutes in, gold graph is zeroed out. Experience for KPG, the carries are kicking in, but M5 still have an absurd amount of push that's pretty undeniable.
Yeah, they're looking kind of good, but losing the racks is just going to be a huge issue here. There's a little bit of warding trading going on here. Roshan is back as well. They could take this. They're actually in a pretty good position to try to take that. The only downside is that there's an insane amount of observer wards. Did he place these wrong? I think his team is flaming him because do you see this ward here?
This one in the trees?
This beautiful probably should be a sentry ward, and the sentry ward that probably should be an observer ward.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure that's what's going.
This gives you almost no vision here.
It looks so bad, but maybe it's useful.
I mean, the high ground just gives you more vision. It gives you all of this plus a hell of a lot more. So yeah, I think that
everybody dewards that one. So I don't know.
Well, everybody except M5 apparently. They just put down an observer and no sentry of their own. So
yeah, well, whatever.
Yeah.
I love that observer ward. It's so good if you're Radiant. It's okay if you're Dire.
Yeah.
So 2,000 gold on Medusa. What does he build this game? Is this even a BKB game almost?
Could
maybe
be
Scotty. Probably.
Yeah, I was just thinking Scotty is probably the way that would go.
It's like the same thing. It's like you could get a BKB and become tanky, or you can just buy a Scotty and have 700 extra HP, not to mention like an insane amount of big mana pool. So it's kind of a similar item while still giving you good damage and some utility. I would like Scotty, I think, here. Definitely.
Yeah, the utility is pretty good stuff too. If somebody overcommits and there isn't a 4-staff ready, they're not walking away. So
it's been buffed over and over again for the slow. So yeah. Could see it being useful.
Yeah, with that mana shield buff too. It's always been core on Dusa, but now it's really better than ever. So
yeah, it's like shifted up an item in priority more or less. Something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Basher's picked up on the anti-mage now, so a little bit of that Bash RNG now coming out onto the field.
Oh, they just found the ward, but it's so delayed, and that's going to use... Oh my god, it worked. The ward worked. But the initiation coming in. Medusa taking a stun. They're going in. Lots of damage on him, but if he survives, it's going to be really bad for M5.
Yeah, the Fissure comes out. There's your Stone Gaze. Locks King R in place. Anti-Mage in the front lines here looking to lock someone down, but just can't find it. They've lost their Shadow Shaman. Wards have already come out, and Gorek will slither his way back to safety, but the life drain enough to bring him down. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fight, Tritada caught inside of the Yules. He'll get locked in place and ends up getting taken down as well. Buybacks aplenty on the Earthshaker and the Medusa. Is now the turn comes from N5. Arts. He gets a multi-cast. He's still just too damn tanky. They can't finish him off, and now with these buybacks, they will repel M5. King R does manage to TP home safely. Tron gets caught by the Fissure and gets hit by the Totem.
Nice.
And now it will get cleaned up, but KPG, they burned 2 buybacks for that.
Oh,
so
did they?
Looking at the recap, it is actually a positive or net worth gain for M5. The difference here is KPG will be able to move into the Roche pit.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty good. So that was a buyback on Medusa and Earthshaker. So kind of a lot. I mean, I think that was an ideal fight in a lot of ways for KPG. Medusa tanks up a ton of nukes at the start of the fight, gives them some space to do some other things. And Shadow Shaman died really fast, but I mean, Anti-Mage didn't die. He's got another 1,200 or 2,200 gold. This guy is... I mean, it's such a different way to play anti-mage, but it's really working out. It's fun to see like small changes in heroes like this one. This hero's been played the same way for actually 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, and with this fighting build, it's a little bit of a risk because you basically have to get kills for it to work. You know, if you coment to the Vanguard, the other team sees it, and then they just play very passive and make it a farm fest. It's basically a wasted item. You know, it's made for the skirmishing. But here, 12, 2, and 14 in 36 minutes. That's about as active as an anti-mage you could ever hope for.
He's only got 160 CS, which looks horrible, but that KD is fantastic. There's nothing bad about that. So if they can get Roshan here and it doesn't get stopped by anybody, that'd be pretty good for them.
Yeah, I don't think King R is quite strong enough to intercept this by his lonesome. He may be tanky, but not that tanky. Arts will probably be the one to pick it up. PSM has also done a really good job on the Shadow Shaman, where he's died pretty consistently in these team fights, but he's almost always gotten his wards down before he's died, and in a key spot. Sometimes you'll see those panic wards off to the side, but it kind of breaks up the fight a little bit, where they're forced to take extra damage from the Serpents, or take odd paths around to get to where they want to be. So he's still been kind of pulling his weight, despite his KDA not looking so hot at 3 and 9.
Yeah, positioning a support is actually very difficult in a lot of ways. You have to always think about all the heroes that are coming and where they might come from, and not being the first one to get initiated on. And even if they do, make sure that you react fast enough to at least hex wards and maybe Ether Shock one time. It's so important to do. A little surprised he went for Tranquil Boots, but it does help with positioning. The extra, it's like having a free boot to travel kind of, or a very inexpensive boot to travel. The extra movement speed is really great to start the fight.
Yeah. Now M5, they'll smoke up. All 5 are rotating through the mid lane, through the Dire jungle, and it looks like they just want to head top, and this time take the fight near the base rather than outside of it, recognizing that 2 buybacks are on cooldown, the big one being the Dusa. If they could get a good initiation and take a team fight here, they'll certainly be able to get a lane of racks. They'll find it onto Arts. Now he gets decrept. Huge damage coming out. Can they actually bring him down? Anti-Mage falls, but he's got the Aegis of the Immortal, so not the biggest kill of the game. Still, burning the Aegis before KPG can do anything with it is a victory for Moscow5.
That was actually everything 5 heroes could do for 3 to 4 seconds just to kill one guy.
That's how tanky he is, man. He's big stuff.
Spell Shield is such a good skill. It really is, man.
Yeah.
4 skill points, 50%. That's really good. That's amazing.
It's pretty. You can really see it too. It's like just cutting all of that Centaur damage in half. Like I said, I think of him as this big bursty guy, but he drops his hammer and Anti-Mage doesn't really care all that much.
But they did get the Aegis, and that's what they want to do. It did cost them a smoke, though. I wonder if they have any left. They have none left unless we have any on heroes, and there are none left. So that was their last smoke. Kind of expensive, and they're really out of cooldown. It's going to be another 5 or 6 minutes. So on the bright side, Roshan's gone, so they don't need to use it for that. But initiating team fights in preparation for their pushes is going to be difficult, and KPG in reaction is going to use a smoke on 4 of their heroes. Medusa's not here, by the way. He's just going to be farming in the meantime, so I'm guessing they're just going to try to pick a hero off and then go back to passive.
Looks like it will indeed be the Scotty build from Dusa.
Oh, they do have a smoke. I'm sorry.
First ultimate orb. Oh, they have one hanging out on one of their heroes. Probably was on the courier when we were looking for it. So they will smoke rotate. Both teams smoked up, trying to hunt one another. And
they're gonna
who's going to jump who? They're going to pop on the Medusa. She's on the high ground, and she scouts it out. Oh my gosh, beautiful positioning from Gorek. No, 2-second stun onto Arts. Now the follow-up as Tron hops in. Got him, taking a lot of damage. Mech gets used. Dunk off to the backside from F and Ninja. Doesn't really do that much damage. Tron gets turned to stone. Gorek throwing out the split shots like crazy. Instead on the back, they'll isolate the Shadow Shaman. Still gets his wards down. Blow Your Brain will go down. Pugna does pop as the Mana Void flies through. Arrow. Nope, not going to do a hell of a lot. And that's it. Just a 1-for-1 Pugna for the Shadow Shaman. Obviously an advantageous trade for KPG and King R. He's hanging out in the middle of it, but does TP to safety.
I mean, this is just a good pick. Was Pugna picked before the Anti-Mage? No, he was picked after, wasn't he? I believe he was. Pugna is not good against Anti-Mage.
No, it was the last pick Anti-Mage. So Pugna was picked up
Medusa.
first.
It was the last pick Medusa, wasn't it? Oh, no, you're
no,
right. You're right.
They picked the Dusa early, and so I remember, and it was Anti-Mage, and we were just like, oh, okay, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
Speak of the devil, PGG gets jumped on. Arts will take all of his mana. Medusa throws out the snake, clicks him down. Now Tron in some trouble as he gets a bash from Arts. Gorek is here to lay in the damage, but she's a little bit slow, trying to slither to catch up. Bloodlust helping out M5 quite a bit here. Tritada off to the side as they bait it down. Multicast onto Arts. The ultimate from Tritada, lowering their armor, doing as much damage as he can, but only stole 56 from the AM, and they won't be able to find a recovery kill here. It's a little bit sad that unless they have all of their spells and full rotation available, there's pretty much no killing this Anti-Mage.
Yeah, they need hexes or something. Maybe a lot of minus armor. Desolator would go a long ways towards killing him, actually, because his int items or his agility items are pretty weak right now. It's only a Manta style, so his armor isn't that amazingly high.
It looks like PGG is going for an Orchid. He has an Oblivion Staff, but there's already 2 Mantas up, so that seems like
refresher arrow. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. It's PGG here.
It's going to be an Orchid for sure. It's a good way to counter the anti-mage. If he uses Manta style, then you Orchid him and then prevent him from being able to blink. So definitely going to be for that. Plus, I mean, it's magic damage at the end of it, but it's a burst ability, or it's a burst item. It actually does increase the damage you do to somebody.
And also just locking him down so he can't blink away in between staggering your stuns is probably the real value there.
Yeah, that's definitely useful for that. Medusa's really close to Scotty. I think she's got it. Scotty is up on Medusa, and things get even harder for M5 here. They've been trying hard to win the game, and they keep initiating fights in a pretty good manner, but it's just not working out. They're not able to kill the anti-mage. That pick just really throws a wrench in their plans here.
Yeah, they've got the right idea, staying aggressive, trying to take team fights, and just looking for any edge they can find to break the base. The 1 lane of Rax is good, but still very holdable for KPG. And honestly, at this point, 2 lanes of Barracks is holdable. Medusa is one of the best heroes for sitting in the base, turtling up, and clearing out creep waves. So no Battle Fury on the anti-mage, who's usually pretty good at that, but she more than makes up for it. Now with the Scotty complete, we'll be pulling up for buyback, a little bit off the mark now. I think hers is, nope, the cooldown has expired, but 700 gold short as M5 will group up, press forward, fishing arrow to get it started. Will not connect on anyone as Goric just clears up
Goodbye,
the
creeps.
Yeah.
Here they come. There's the split. He's actually going in. BKB already being used. Oh, they tried ward trap blocks the anti-mage. A bit of a mistake there by the Shadow Shaman. They're still chasing. That's one of the few times KPG tries to go in. There's a stun trying to pick off the Razor. Razor's BKB being used. He's so low. A couple more Manta slows, and he's actually going to heal now. This is what they were trying to do for the whole game, and it's finally weird out. Dunk goes in. Ogre's in some trouble. Ulti not doing a whole lot of damage. The anti-mage actually has to retreat. A little bit of overextend from KPG. Still trying to slow down the Razor, but he's not going to die. Almost a stun. Good silence coming out of the Skywrath mage, and maybe Goric is going to fall. Arrows coming through. It's going to land. He's in trouble, but not enough damage coming out of these heroes. Here's some more. He's getting low. He's finally going to fall. No buyback for him, and they may be able to take a Rax just finally.
Yeah, no buyback on either the heroes that are dead. The Earthshaker will have it in just a couple of seconds. Now the Glyph comes out. This is the top lane of Barracks. Even with the Earthshaker up, he's already used his dunk. There's only so much he can do to break this up, and N5 will be successful. I've never seen such a good use of the life drain from Pugna on an ally. That was so game-changing in that fight and could possibly be a game winner as Afa Ninja, he's bought back. Now the Hex out onto Tron. They'll bring him down. R-Top's right into the party, but they got what they came for. The lane of Barracks has gone down. Now N5 just need to make the escape. Got him. He gets multicasted. King R finds a kill as he's going to get taken out and just trying to be the distraction, the sacrificial lamb for his team. Blow your brain. I don't think he's going to make it out of this one. No TP scroll. Art should be able to chase him down as BKB's expired, and, well, Decrep going to be very annoying here, but I don't think it'll be much more than that. Tritada, you should just head for the hills, buddy. You don't have enough mana for your TP, and why is he hanging around? There's your mana break. Arrow comes in. Almost hits him. That's what they were waiting for, but now that the arrow hasn't connected, they need to just get the hell out. Pull the plug.
These guys both have 5 mana, and they're like, yeah, let's try to land this arrow. It's an anti-mage who's like been impossible to kill. He's got 1,500 HP, and they're like, yeah, let's land an arrow. We got this.
Oh, Centaur buys back for the ultimate. It keeps him alive. What a stampede. Oh, boy.
I mean, well, I mean, Stampede loss isn't a big deal. He was almost out of buyback, or almost respawn. I don't know if you really needed to do that, to be honest.
Yeah, the AM wasn't doing that much damage. Yeah. The mana was already gone, so his right clicks were hitting for kittens. And
Anti-Mage's skill as a hero is basically being really hard to kill, and he farms really fast when you get a Battle Fury. But when you go this battle build, your damage is good, but not that amazing. He's basically got Manta is a utility item, mostly, and a mana drain item. He's got a BKB, he's got a Crimson Guard, and even Basher is a damage item, but it's mediocre. His damage is not good right now. If he gets an Abyssal Blade, he's going to be in a good place, and that's almost surely going to be his next item, probably like Abyssal into Butterfly, but right now his damage frankly sucks, and him killing Razor in the first place is unlikely to work, so I don't know.
So things looking a little better for Moscow5. That fight securing the second lane of Barracks still not over for KPG, but they're one step closer now. Let's take a look at the gold graph, and it is M5. They got a huge swing out of that, about 6,000 net worth moving into their favor, and KPG holding on to a very significant experience edge, and that's just the anti-mage and the Deuce. Top in the hero levels, both level 22, and could have been a completely different fight as well if Dusa had a buyback there, but finished up her Scotty right beforehand and just simply didn't have enough gold.
It was a pretty close fight, I really felt. I didn't know how it was going to go at the start. KPG initiated, it wasn't the best initiation, and then M5 backed up, and then they counter-initiated, and it was really back and forth. It's been a pretty intense game.
But
really
here you go, King R on the position for Ogre. He finds the Aghanim Scepter, so now we've got some unrefined Fire Blast, and Pretty interesting mechanic how it uses percentage of mana, so you can pretty much always use it, but if you're at full mana, boy, is that baby expensive.
Yeah. I think he's going to be okay because he has a Soul Ring, which is a cool way to build it, because the Soul Ring guarantees that even if your mana's out, you can still end up using the regular Fire Blast, which is important, because if you get out of mana and all you've got is Unrefined Fire Blast, it's not that fantastic. It's a 6-second cooldown, similar to his main Fire Blast. It's cool that you can cast endlessly, but you need to be able to go stun on somebody, and hopefully do 1,000 magic damage on them. So the Soul Ring is actually pretty useful, despite it being late game here.
Yeah,
I
and
like
it also builds into a Bloodstone, so it's not just a wasted item. You can eventually upgrade it if you want to go that route.
I don't think you should build it as a support.
Kind of want to just hang on to it.
Force Staff, it's like 40% of the cost and infinitely more useful. He doesn't need mana that bad here. What did they? Oh, PGG gets picked off here.
He gets left behind. He'll buy back straight away, as obviously KPG want this Roche. It's Roche number 3, Aegis and Cheese at the ready, and I think maybe a little hasty from PGG, but sort of respecting how fast KPG can take down Roche. Just wants to make sure he's in the right place at the right time.
So he's moving in. The arrow's ready to go. He used Moonlight Shadow already.
Yeah.
And they're not in there.
Yeah,
so
just getting a little too excited. Slow down there, PGG. Yeah. Pump the brakes. Let's wait for some visual confirmation.
He did have to buy back immediately, and you never know. If they were in there, he's got to take that opportunity. They didn't have wards up. That's been dewarded by KPG here. There's no wards. There are very few wards on the map, actually, by M5 here. Do they have any in their inventory? They do, actually. Mirana's carrying some. That's probably why she died in the first place, actually, is she's probably moving over there to put wards down to set up for the Roshan, and she did get caught for that, so.
Yep. So we could see a fight break out in the mid. Arts flanks forward, uses his Manta right away, but doesn't really get anything out of it. Just sends the illusions to the high ground. They'll get cleaned up. Now Gorek throws out the snake. Afaninje with a fissure right on the Tron. That'll lock him in place. He'll force staff to safety. Blow your brain. BKB on. Starts draining PSM, but now it's Afaninje that presses forward right on Chertada. Now BKB used. Yule's Anti-Mage off to the side, just completely zoning out this team. The Mana Break doing or the Mana Void rather, doing a lot of damage. Razor off to the side and PGG both get cleaned up. This fight will go in favor of KPG by a landslide. It's a 4-0. Ogre TP's out. And that Anti-Mage, it was him versus 3, and he won the battle.
Yeah, it was really well done by KPG there. They completely split the team up. M5 did have to retreat a lot there to back up as they were being initiated on, but the Medusa got in between the two heroes, or the two sets of heroes. There's the two heroes, the Ogre, I believe, and who was the other one down there? But anyways, it was a split team, so Anti-Mage is basically unkillable, and he does moderate damage, and you can just run at them and split them up, and the rest of the team can deal with the other two. And once you split them up like that, M5 just has a lot of trouble, because their team's all about burst damage and killing heroes. So. Yep, just really hard for M5 to win this game because of the hero picks. I mean, obviously KPG's been playing fantastic, but the way that Arts has been playing the Anti-Mage has been fantastic.
Yeah. And that last big fight up in the Dire base is probably the last good one M5 will be able to find. That's another 5,000 gold swing. Now the other way going to KPG. Skywrath Mage is the one to pick up the cheese for now. Anti-Mage will grab the Aegis, and he picked up his Abyssal Blade on their way to the Roche Pit. So now he's got that huge damage output you were talking about, and of course the utility stun to cut right through the BKB of the Pugna or the Razor or whoever else. How's Dusa looking? 4,400 gold up on her, so Gorek, yeah, he's having a pretty good time, and now his net worth is just close to the top of the charts. Maybe some initiation here. Yeah, Stone Gaze is used. Blow your brain. This gets destroyed by the Anti-Mage. King R gets petrified. Buyback from the Pugna, but this could be close to the end for M5 as Ogre is stuck without a buyback, and if they end up killing this Pugna again, he'll be in the grave for quite some while.
Yeah, that's one of those ganks where a Force Staff may have been better than an Aghanim Scepter. I don't know. I've played a lot of Pub Ogre, and I've never tried the Soul Ring Tranquil build, but I mean, he didn't get this in for 40 minutes, so all of his gold that he invested into the Aghanim Scepter up to the 40-minute part only gave him tankiness and moderate tankiness. I feel like a Force Staff is really the way to go on Ogre Magi, because you can Force Staff your allies, you can Force Staff yourself to initiate properly, or you can escape with it. I mean, if he would have had the Force there, that he could have stunned the Medusa earlier, guaranteed. Yeah. I don't know. And maybe they would have been closer to the tower, and maybe his team would have gone there faster. It's a small criticism, though.
Yeah. Well, now Afaninje will have the BKB complete on the Earthshaker, so good call on that one, as he's ready to drop the big ultis. And wow, just look at that gold graph following that fight. Now 12,000 in the favor of KPG, and the experience graph looking rather comparable. Yeah. And 50 minutes in, you'd kind of expect the team with the Anti-Mage and the Dusa to be way in the lead, as they've just got that huge carry potential. Dusa will go for a butterfly with that Talisman already in tow.
Yeah, I was just sitting there thinking, oh, KPG's going to win this game, and then I remembered 2 racks.
Yeah.
They're in some trouble here. They've got a big advantage, and you have to remember as well, because of the recent patch, if M5 wins team fights, they're going to get a huge amount of EXP swing, because the gold swing was nerfed heavily back to pre 6.82 levels, but the EXP is still about half into it. So if they win a team fight, they can get a lot of EXP advantage, which will come a little bit towards giving them some more survivability. It's mostly stat points from here on out, since everybody's above level 16, so maybe it won't be that significant, but you know, it's a little bit extra HP.
Yeah, still a rubber band mechanic for sure, and it's more about managing buybacks at this point. It feels like killing the anti-mage twice feels like almost an impossible feat.
Yeah.
So I think they'll have to wait out this Aegis. No way to wait out the cheese really, but it has been passed over to Medusa. I think that certainly makes some sense, and she'll have a butterfly coming out. As Gorak has phase boots on the courier, he'll be able to sell, and he's picked up his BOTs now. So
well,
almost at that butterfly. Yeah.
That's great. So you can basically go anywhere else and farm, and then when the fight actually starts, he can show up. And this is what they needed because of the 2-rack scenario. He needs to be able to TP support. So he's going to TP mid now since he's pushed out top very, very heavily, and they're going to guarantee push mid because that's where their other racks is. If they don't do this, they're going to have a lot of pressure. Very wisely on the other side of the map, the Razor's split pushing the bot lane, so at least he can potentially threaten a racks down here if KPG continues to push.
They find the tier 2 tower mid. Now Art's in the front lines. Remember, he's the Aegis carrier. Still plenty of duration on it. He'll be the target that KPG hope the opposition initiate on. Roster wards come down right away onto the tier 3 tower. Arts blinks forward.
Ooh.
Blow Your Brain gets Abyssal, but there's that Force Staff coming to play. The Stampede from Tron used, as will the Moonlight Shadow. But Gorak with a huge ultimate turns PGG to stone. He gets dropped, and they'll kill the tier 3 tower. Still a glyph at the ready as they go into the exposed barracks. Now it comes out from M5. The Razor has given up his rat endeavors and has come back to try and help the team. Blow Your Brain gets destroyed. That's a dieback on him. And now they go in, and it's not looking good for M5. Yeah, Tron going to be in some trouble. King R, he's going to get taken out. Arts will die the first time, but he's coming right back to life. It just takes too many resources to bring down this anti-mage once, let alone twice.
Scarlet Mage's got to be careful. Razor's really good against him. He's going to actually TP all the way home. And Medusa is still taking damage, doesn't really care very much. Another fissure happens, and he's able to buy back and TP as well. So they get the mid racks, it's completely gone, and they're just going to try to keep him in base if possible. Earthshaker goes down, but I think this will be a dead Razor. Forcing them to buy back would be pretty good here. And
yeah, Razor, 22 hit points. One more auto attack to the high ground. Anti-Mage will finish him off. Takes a few fire bush shots, but that's all right. They've already gotten the mid lane of barracks. Razor buys back. Stampede used to try and close the gap on the Medusa, but Gorak will be happy just to be a distraction right now. Anti-Mage is down bottom, going hard on the tier 3 tower, and has that Manta style to cook it down. Yeah, and Gorak, they're going to keep chasing. A little bit of tunnel vision here from Tron and Vigas.
I just don't know if... Oop, that was a good juke. But he's spotted now. Ooh, he's actually stuck. He doesn't have phase boots. This is really bad, actually. He's got to kill the creep and run. All right, depending on how big Static Link gets here, he could still die. There's a stun. All right, I think he is going to go down.
He's dead.
Wow.
So they'll finally finish off the Medusa, but Anti-Mage gets a ranged Rax and a tier 3 tower while that's going on. So basically worth it for the Medusa to die.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He can buy back. I feel like he just should have ran. I'm not entirely sure. He's really fast, 429. Yeah. He's a little bit faster than the Razor. So worst case, the Razor would have caught up and started sapping damage and ulti, but I feel like he kind of ran himself to death there. I feel like if he just ran in a straight line, he was going to get stunned by the Centaur. But
I think he could have lived, but I think the thought process was more just distract them as long as possible to see if Anti-Mage can maybe even get a full lane of bottom racks and finish off the melee. But you're right. Probably should have just tried to head for the hills. As now Medusa's down for 60 seconds. Does have a buyback.
He's got the buyback.
And I think he's going to be forced to use it. M5 are basically in the Hail Mary push.
I don't even think he has to worry about it, though. Ooh, Razor's really close to Butterfly. Is he going to sell something? Oh, he's so close. 200 gold and he's got his Butterfly fish.
What do you sell here, though? He doesn't really have a...
He needs all those items.
Yeah, you can't really pick one of those.
Phase Boots is like the closest one. He sells Quarterstaff to get the Eagle Song. How about that?
Doesn't quite work out.
A little counterproductive.
No, there is a glyph for the Dire side, and the buyback from Medusa, I think, needs to come sooner rather than later. Arts in the front lines. Manta style comes out. The dunk from Ninja. They'll bring down the Centaur and repel them handily. BKB's used, but Blow Your Brain gets caught by the Abyssal. He'll be the next to fall, and Razor stuck inside of the Yules. Ninja trying to set up the stun. Hits him with the Totem Aftershock, but won't be able to find a kill. Still an easy 2-0. Medusa did buy back to defend the last standing tier 4 tower. Now King R outside of the base. Arts presses forward. He's stuck by the fissure. Multicast 2x, but nowhere for him to go. He gets turned into a ram. Now the shackles, and yeah, Radiant side gets completely repelled and
All right.
KPG.
I think it's safe to say that KPG is better at team fighting at this point in terms of their advantage. And
they lost their tier 4 though.
Yeah, there's a lot of creeps, and this is where their whole lack of battle fury thing is starting to hurt them. It might be worth it for Anti-Mage to buy it. Luckily, they have the best pushing hero in the game, which is Medusa, obviously. She just needs to get back to the base, and then she can actually... He grabs a Butterfly instead.
Okay. I was thinking maybe it's just time to sell that Crimson Guard and get a late-game Battle Fury, just purely for creep clear.
Yeah, I would actually like that after the Butterfly. I would agree. It transitions him back into a typical Anti-Mage. He's already pretty tanky here. He'd lose, what, 250 HP, he'd lose some armor. Yeah. It would be a bit rough, but I mean, the Butterfly more than compensates for physical survivability. Evasion is so much better than damage block in late game. So.
He'll leap, get caught by the fissure, and that's a little bit of a feed at a time when you don't really want to die. There's no buyback on the Mirana, no buybacks for anyone.
I didn't even feel bad about him dying there because I already feel like them winning a team fight has just been so tough. Yeah. The BKB swing has just started for KPG. They finally got BKBs on Skywrath Mage, Anti-Mage, and Earthshaker. Those are the three heroes that want to be jumping in and doing a lot of aggressive things. The only person that doesn't have it is Shadow Shaman. But
yeah, Blow Your Brain gets abyssaled straight away. Once more, the Mystic Flare to fly through. Ownage for Arts. The announcer has it right as he is just out of his mind. With a 3v5 on the field, they may just go for tier 4s here. There's just not a huge amount of damage output. No glyph for the Radiant for another 30 seconds. Rasta wards come down onto the tier 4 towers, and now the fight will break out. This could very well be the final fight of the game as Tron jumps in, force stabs himself back, gets caught by the Stone Gaze and the Shackles. He goes down. The Echo Slam from Afa Ninja locks him in place, finishes off the Ogre. Now it's just Tritada, and I think this is going to be game purge.
Yeah, there's just only so much they can do now. They had a good attempt. They kept grouping up and trying to push and win fights, but they just needed to win 1 or 2 more fights and they would have had the game. They were very, very close here. Yeah. Big win for KPG, though. Honestly, really top-tier team fights from both sides. They both played really fantastic. There were maybe some inefficiencies here and there, but I mean, I thought both teams played really well. It was just KPG held on just enough for their draft to kick in, and a great pick with the Anti-Mage completely paid off this game. Really well played.
Really a nail-biter, though, with the KPG throne exposed, no tier 4 towers standing, just 1 tier 3 and a lane of barracks. Like you said, 1 team fight could have been the difference of that match. Still, this Anti-Mage, damn impressive score at the end. 22, 2, and 25. 18.9 fantasy points. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody get more fantasy points than that. That's pretty absurd.
It's all about the kills, guys, not necessarily about the last hits. I think that's what he proved to us there. So
definitely. So, well, Purge, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us here. It's always fun to have somebody new in the studio. I just want to ask you about this Anti-Mage build. How one-off is this? Do you think this could become more of a trend, kind of a new standard, or is this just a context of this game? It worked well, but still the classic Battle Fury is where we're at.
I just think it was perfect for this game. It was like all magic damage on the Radiant team. They had a Pugna. Pugna can't do anything against an Anti-Mage. You saw it every fight. He pops his BKB, and then he doesn't know what to do. He just runs away because Pugna really peaks off late. When everybody gets BKBs and they're all tanky and stuff, Pugna really gets a lot worse. Like, maybe you should have built a different item. Maybe you should have gotten a Hex or a BKB first, or I don't know, something, a pipe maybe. Who knows? Something else. I think the eggs didn't really pay off very much here, so could have maybe been played better in terms of build-wise from Below Your Brain, but I think the Anti-Mage was just a perfect pick here, and the Vanguard build was exactly what they needed to do, especially because he was being pressured so much. The enemy team was constantly in his lane, trying to steal his last hits, trying to kill him and his supports, and the Vanguard allowed him to start the game 5-1 and 6, and it didn't matter what he built. So
and the offlane Dusa, you're a little skeptical at first, but it can work out.
It was pretty good, I think. He pretty much played it like I expected he would. He went lots of stat items, lots of Mystic Snake, and farmed a lot. His team created a lot of space for him, and that also required the Anti-Mage to go Vanguard. If Anti-Mage went Battle Fury, Medusa never would have been able to catch up as well, so I think that was another reason that he got the Vanguard. So
that's a good point. Can't go too greedy now, but what a fun game to wrap up our coverage today, guys. We'll have more Summit 2 by G2A.com European coverage tomorrow, same place, same time here on the BTS channel. If you enjoyed the cast, make sure you give us a follow on Twitter, @PurgeGamers, @ZyoriTV, both of which in the title of this broadcast, and of course, @Beyond the Summit to stay up to date with this tournament and all things happening in the studio. But until tomorrow, see you guys later.